don't need bigger knife. Yeah.
We have returned here, everyone. Gonna continue our chatting about those things that we were chatting about. Overhyped knives. I think that's what I was trying to say.
Overhyped knives. Just so I'm consistent for all 3 episodes, I'm going to leave and then come back in 7 to 8 minutes and just be like in a cluster when I finally join the chat. But,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
There you go.
There it is.
Before we get back to overhyped knives, a comment was made in chat before we went to break, and I hope Mr. Fisk has gotten his panties out of a bunch about it, because Justin says a Sebenza is just a slightly fancy buck 110.
I mean, I see it.
Oh, Mr. Fisk is going to drive to your house and punch you in the face.
Well, they're very simple ergonomics. They have a hollow ground blade. They're both in my collection. Yeah, sure, why not? They're totally.
You can get them with get them with S30V. It's
yeah. It's
just a
whose
quick
heat
aside.
treatment better? Whose heat treatment is better, Paul Boss's or Chris Reeve?
I don't know. Do you want it done properly or not?
Oh,
Mr. Fisk really is going to kill me.
yep. John and Mississauga, cheers. Better late than never. What's going on, brother? He's carrying his mini freak today.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. It's coming, boys and girls. Very soon.
The mini super. Is it the mini super or is it the super mini?
It's the super mini.
The super mini freak?
Super mini freak.
I don't know.
Well,
The mini super freak.
the super freak came first, and that was the M4 and G10, right?
Yeah.
So if it
I
was
think it would be the mini super freak.
yeah,
Mini would be first.
That's
'cause
the
you have to
opposite of what
state
Joe
right
said.
off the bat.
you think so,
Yeah,
huh? Okay.
Yeah, the super mini freak makes it sound like some kind of superhero.
No, it's Super Freak Mini. Just to piss everybody off.
Thanks, I hate it.
Freaky mini.
You just ruined the last part of this beer right here, Joe. Like, seriously.
You're welcome.
I drank it anyway, just for the record. It wasn't as good as it would have been before you made that
Here,
statement.
let me ruin your next beer. This knife exists. Woo!
He's got knives equally ugly in his collection, too.
Does he? What's the most ugly knife in your collection, Dennis?
It's that Benchmade, that green thing.
No, that thing's awesome.
The NPR? No. If you're going to go ugly knives, it's going to be the Spyderco Captain.
All I'm
That makes it
picturing.
ugly as fuck.
Oh,
No,
This knife wins.
Dennis,
Right here.
they're cousins.
yeah.
You shut your face with that. Jason Breeden would kick the crap out of Jed's ass, though.
Would he?
I actually do think that would be a real thing. Maybe we'll find out in the text later. Anyway,
Nice.
I think that's the ugliest knife I own.
Okay.
It's pretty gross.
I find it funny that they're both Spyderco's.
Oh, of course. Like, well, I might have well said I have a tie stick down here. That thing's hideous. Like,
What about oh, I thought I had another one. That's okay.
or
a
Phoenix.
myrtle that's been dyed Dr. Frunky green.
I forgot about the Myrtle. That thing had such potential. The materials were so nice.
Anyway.
Yeah, John, we are talking about the carbon fiber one, the mini freak.
Yeah.
The mini super freak or a super mini freak.
Not the way Joe said it.
No,
Yeah.
probably not.
Whatever Joe said, he's wrong. The next response we got for overhyped knives, overrated knives, comes from Botanical EDC, and I'm going to read it as they said it. Just for the record, these are not my words. They're not my words, but they're not my words.
What are they?
Words that aren't his.
Any fucking Medford. Overrated, overpriced, and overhyped. Owner Greg's a moose knuckle.
Oof.
That was what was written.
Yeah.
Well, without commenting on the makers
Being a moose knuckle?
not going to talk about that. My one experience handling a Medford has been less than stellar, and I've talked about it on the channel before. But from what I've seen in subsequent photos and videos, they seem to be finely built knives, and he's using stuff other than D2. So
Hang on. Back that statement up. You said knives like they're not like 3/4 of an inch thick.
I'm
like,
sorry, his other folding pry bars. Well, he's got some stuff that's like
edge tools might be.
Yeah. He's got one folder that's like a sub 4 millimeter thick blade.
He's come out with a couple, like
Yeah.
Dress Marauder and
But I
I
will
was going to say, what's the one that we've handled, Dennis? The one that has like the grenade style pattern on the side of it.
I want to say that is a Marauder, but like the full size, big, crazy thing. Like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know the one I'm talking about, right? That seemed like a nice knife. I didn't try to cut anything with it because it wasn't my knife.
It wasn't the Marauder. It was the Praetorian.
There you go.
Praetorian, yeah, that's definitely one of
Monster.
his
Such a monster. Yeah.
more well known for sure.
It's too much. Too many things.
Do you guys think that they're overrated, or overhyped for what they are?
They're mid-tech, but they're pushing the limit of mid-tech as far as price point goes. And like I said, the thickness of them, they're not exactly like, it's like...
They're not full custom?
What's that?
They're not full custom?
I would put them more of a mid-tech myself, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong with that.
I thought he made all his stuff in-house, barring hardware. I just wasn't sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure either. I don't have enough experience with Medford to comment one way or another, right? So,
all right, fair enough.
I just know that thick behind the edge is an understatement with that particular company, right? So,
yeah.
Justin's saying in chat that apparently Medford issued a letter about his knives recently that chafed certain people.
Okay.
What I was going to say is that no matter how big and beefy you make your folding knife, I'm going to want one of these any day of the week. I want a fixed blade. I have a number of fixed blades over there that I would trust long before I trusted anything that was an overbuilt folder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying the overbuilt folder would fail, but I trust that more not to because there's not an inherent weakness built right into it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's a knife. If you want to make a pry bar, and there are guys who have made their living by making titanium pry bars, you could very easily do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mr. Fisk is saying that it's a group of people making them in-house.
Okay.
So that's Sebenza territory.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Still production then at that point.
Yeah, but like even
yeah,
you can pick your finish and stuff like that probably.
Sorry?
You can probably pick your finish, things like that.
Yeah.
Heat ano or a color or.
Yeah, well, I've seen a ton of different variation out of his work for sure. At least in terms of finishes and yeah.
Indeed.
I think as a knife. Just briefly, I think as a knife they're overrated. As a pry bar, I don't know where you can find a better folding pry bar aside from an Adamas.
John in Mississauga is saying that when he started out, they were all big bricks, but he sorted it out a bit, So I guess they're a little bit more slicey now than they used to be. New models and stuff like that with thinner
Or
stock.
only half a brick.
Sorry?
Only half a brick.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
His
like I said, the mini Marauder and the dress Marauders, and I think he might even have another model as well that doesn't look like it's absolutely crazy pry-bar-y action. It does actually look like it has some good cutting ability, right? So
and his hollow grinds look pretty decent for what they are. So
On that note, Mad One Outdoors, the paramilitary, and then he emoted at me that he was ducking for cover. I don't know if he thought that I was going to be angry with him about it or just everybody in general. But brother, you are with the majority here.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, 5 out of 15 had some kind of variant of the paramilitary. The next answer, actually, from Everyday Caleb. Every sprint run, paramilitary too.
Okay, but let's be honest. The thirst is real when it comes to hunting limited Spyderco stuff. Like,
yeah,
people would run over their grandmother to get some of the sprint stuff that you can only get from like XYZ retailer. And sometimes that's the only way you're going to see that variation in those models, right?
Well, and I think for me, like Spyderco sprint runs used to be a lot more of like older models that were called back, and they would re-release it with maybe a fancy handle or a different steel or a combination thereof. Whereas it seems like the last couple of years, Spyderco in particular has just been like Delica, Endura, Stretch, Mannix, Dragonfly, PM2, all in the same steel, orange handle, X45. There's our sprints.
Yeah.
Last year it was whatever.
These are
blue,
our popular sellers. We have a template now. Let's do it.
And maybe as a business decision, that makes more sense for them. Maybe it's more profitable. But I think for a collector or for somebody who's like, wow, I really, really like the look of the, I don't know, like Dennis, you've got a Navaja. Like, I'd like to see, I want to see that come back in S90 or M390 or something crazy. Like,
and the sprint runs is something that I used to look forward to seeing what they were going to come out with, because it was a bit of a throwback. Sometimes it was just something weird and out there. Yeah. And sometimes it was a variation of a Mannix or of a PM2, but it wasn't like the full gamut of just like, here's the block of like safe sprint runs that we're going to put out every single year type of thing.
Yeah.
I just wish they would do both. Service both those markets. Yeah. Like, I mean, I would go nuts for older Spyderco models that have been discontinued for 15 plus years. Be able to get the chance to buy some of that stuff.
And I just want to quickly say, John and Mississauga kind of joined the video tonight a little bit late. We all either like the paramilitary or understand why people would like it. They're great knives. But as far as the best knife on the market, there are other options. Is basically.
Well, and we're talking about like overhyped is I think one of the terms you used, right? Like it was
and I mean,
something that everyone just raves about, and yes, it might have good features, but it's like not king of the hill by any means.
Yeah,
right?
It's not the be all end all.
Yeah, it's equal to, not necessarily greater than.
Yeah, and keep in mind this all comes from a place of love and respect. Like Paul has a PM2 and S110. I love that knife. Not quite the same thing, but I've got a military and S30. Like, they're great knives. They're wonderful knives. They work really well, but they're overhyped as shit.
We have John on board now.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Funny enough, the next person that responded, Gear in Situ, also said the paramilitary too. Also, he said, I like it, but it's far from the hype, which I think is what we've all been saying tonight.
More or less, yeah.
John even agrees with us in chat here, yeah. Overhyped, yes. From tool to art. From tool to art. That's words. The correct ones. You're welcome. Striders.
It's not something that I see as often. I mean, I see guys posting on Instagram their Striders quite often. But I mean, relatively speaking, not as much as a lot of other models. But I seem to remember like 5-6 years ago, there were a shit ton of threads online talking about Striders and how great they were. And I don't know why the secondary market was exploding at the time, but it was. And man, you think Cold Steel fanboys had a fanatical obsession with Lynn Thompson. I mean, nothing compared to what these guys thought for mixed Strider.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of built his reputation as far as the is it the SNG? That was the really famous. Yeah. I seem to remember videos of people using to break apart cinder blocks, bricks and stuff, and just being like, why? It's a titanium frame lock. Why are you doing this? Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's what that is, but
It makes me sad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, that's
Very
a
sad.
$1,200 pocket knife.
Is it weird that if I was ever going to get a Strider, I would only get a Strider that was the Buck version?
Oh yeah. No, that's not weird. It's kind of a gimmicky knife. I dig it.
Yeah, I would just get it just because it's a weird thing. Mr.
enough.
Fisk is going on a tangent in chat about how you can't invent a hole. Talking about a company that claims to have invented a hole. You can't invent a hole. You just can't. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Dude, you can't preemptively jump into the answers. We're getting there. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, that's funny.
Oddly enough, EDC share and Burrow EDC. EDC share says the PM2. Burrow EDC says the Para 3.
Mm.
Justin's being all controversial in chat. And by in chat, I mean right here. My chat, the DMs. The knife that he chose that he thinks is overrated is the Benchmade Anthem. Because I'm wrong about the Spidey flick. So it's an answer born purely of spite.
Spite. That sounds like a spite answer. Yes.
Yeah.
Because the
Bench fair
Benchmade Anthem
justification.
is a lovely knife, and you're wrong.
Oh, and for the record, it doesn't have much height.
The Anthem?
No.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't.
No, not really.
It's whether it's worth the hype or not. The Anthem
Yeah.
doesn't get the crazy hype that it probably deserves, right?
It's true. It's a hell of a good knife. The knife is expensive as fuck though, so
Yeah.
I get it. John in Mississauga is saying in chat that he needs to look for the questions beforehand. I actually post the questions Saturday morning. They play through until the following morning. So anytime in there on Instagram, if you jump in
On your stories.
Yeah, in our Instagram stories at the Pokey Factor. Justin saying the foresight to plant that answer yesterday. It's not like, I mean, yeah.
No excuse. No
The
excuse.
Mwahaha stand.
Yes. You mwahaha, and I had no answer that was funnier than that. So
Yes.
when in doubt, mwahaha. It'll get you out of any situation.
That should also be on a t-shirt.
It'll get you out of any situation.
I don't know.
When in doubt, Mwahaha.
I like that, actually. Oh, Mr. Fisk is sending me photos again. Stop it. When I scrolled up, there was like 6 messages, I'm pretty sure, from him. So,
Shit.
indeed. Doe EDC said the bug out. So I told you, Joe, we'd get there.
Yay.
What would you like to say about the bug out, Joe?
It's overhyped as shit. But that being said, it's a really nice knife. It's a really nice cutting tool. It's built well as a cutting tool. When you're stomping it in half after plunging it into a 2x4, you're not using it as a cutting tool anymore. I know some people are thinking, oh, it's got flexy handles and that sucks and that's terrible. And yeah, I mean, for what that knife is designed to be, I think it does it pretty well. I think it's priced a little higher than it really needs to be, but
it's overpriced for sure. Yeah.
But I think that's Benchmade hyping it by pricing it where they know it will sell, because look how popular that knife is. It's still one of Blade HQ's most sold. I know that we sell a ton of them. And you're starting to see more varieties of them. Sorry, Nigel?
And I think definitely part of the hype is not necessarily from the consumer side, but from Benchmade itself. And seeing like the little bit of popularity. So we have to come out with all different models and all the different colors, and then come up with the mini. And
dude,
but they all sell.
I know.
Yeah.
If you look at Benchmade sales, I guarantee that the Bug Out is probably the #1 selling Benchmade. If you looked at like American or Canadian or whatever type of thing, I guarantee it would be a Bug Out.
I still have
they're really pushing it.
I still have a big problem with the way they marketed their original bailout with a 3V back before the infamous steel conspiracy of 2019 or whatever Cedric and Ada called it on that video.
That's a different knife, Joe. That's a different knife.
But they're related. They came out around the same time, and if we're talking about overhype, I had a pretty big problem with the marketing for that knife.
Like bitching about the Delica and then being like, yeah, but the Endura sucks too.
What I'm saying, no. I'm saying that when it comes to Benchmade applying hype to a knife, they did it more aggressively, I think, with the bailout, and I don't think that knife
as far as it being like it's the same sort of option, but it's the tough version because it's the 3V, but it still had the flexi handle, so it didn't live up to that sort of hype.
Exactly. Yeah. I think in that regard, they didn't push the bailout, or sorry, I don't think they pushed the Bug Out too hard. I think it excels at what it is trying to be. But when it comes to the fanboys online, holy shit. Like, there's some pretty good flame wars between people defending the plastic scales and people who are just ardent that it should be G10 or nothing. So controversial, it draws discussion for sure.
Have you ever seen another knife go from new model to being in the customizer though?
Nope.
Yeah.
We waited
the second year that knife came out, like.
Yeah, and how long did we wait for the Crooked River to go into the customizer? Like, and that was a popular knife. Not compared to the Bug Out, but it was still a popular model for sure.
It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people come in and buy more than one Bug Out at a time. Like,
yeah,
it's a thing that's happened. And it's weird every time it does.
The fact that
they're in the same blade steel.
Yeah.
But it's still a knife that, even though it is probably more expensive than it needs to be, you can get a couple of them and it's not breaking the bank. It's not going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy one for yourself and for a friend. And you're getting a good knife at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Fisk makes a good point. Benchmade probably got mad that lots of other people were making money off of mod stuff for their knife. So they went, no, you can mod it here.
Yeah.
Which you're still never going to come up with all the different modifications you can online. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Plain G10 scales and maybe titanium or something like that, you might lose the market for. But some of the stuff that people are coming out with out there, you're never going to see from a production company probably.
Yeah.
No, but you're also paying like 100, 150 plus for some of these aftermarket scales too, right? Like, you're paying good money for those upgrades. And for what it is, it's a good platform.
Apparently Mr. Fisk has owned 10 of the Bug Out, so
this is the judgmental Joe face.
Really?
Actually, that's a good question. How is the consistency?
Yeah, that's what I'm genuinely curious about.
Yeah.
He also put it out in chat that the bug out is greater than the PM2. But is it better than a PM2 lightweight?
Yes.
Judgmental Dennis face. Excellent.
How is that a question? Like, seriously.
Really? You think the Benchmade's better? Oh.
I would take
There's
a bug out
There's
over
no
PM.
argument, dude. Like, a bug out compared to a PM3 lightweight?
I'm giving
PM2.
you I'm giving you shit. Obviously.
I know they don't have a PM2 lightweight, but I'm waiting for it to come out. They've made a lightweight of everything else. They're not going to make a PM2?
They did a Tenacious for God's
At this
sake.
point, I'm waiting for the PM3 lightweight smock.
Don't say that. That's not even judgment. That's just genuine sadness. I want you to know.
I
With
watched
BD1
it.
and BD1
I wanted it to hurt.
It's just it's make believe. Don't listen to them.
Honeycomb textured FRN with BD1N, man.
Okay, for $120. Yeah.
Can I get
they'll put
5.7?
They'll put that plastic molding on the inside of where the compression lock needs to go for the button, like they did with the PM3 lightweight. It'll be sweet. Yeah, totally classy up that knife.
Oh.
The consistency has been good. I think he got one that was beyond a simple tweak to get centered and stuff like that. So
I like that there's
Not a bad ratio.
I like that there's the admission that he had to tweak at least several to get them centered.
of course,
They're Benchmates, but no, that's good to hear that there was only one.
Indeed. Ill Knife Guy. I think it's Ill. Or Lee Knife Guy. Apparently I'm dyslexic tonight.
Whoa. How do you confuse the spellings of Lee and
Because
Ill?
they spell it L-I.
I see.
So that it might be Illinois Knife Guy. Like it might be state. I don't know. But he said the Shamwari. So take that, Dennis. Apparently he just doesn't get it.
Oof.
I mean, he's wrong, clearly, but
I kind of want to hear the reasoning as to why the Shamwari is overrated.
he says he just doesn't get it.
Oh, he just doesn't get it.
Yeah, I just
So
don't get
he doesn't get the hype. Okay. Well, you're looking at better steel than a Sebenza. You're looking at a front flipper frame lock with reportedly amazing action and with similar tolerances, right?
Yeah, the reason why I like them is because it's an upgraded Sebenza.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to make offense to either company. It's just they're of a similar size, similar materials, but it's going to be more fun to flip open with that front flipper, and you get what, 20 CV?
I think so.
M390, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, apples and bananas, man.
Those
You
are
know,
two.
those are comparable things.
Sure.
You live in Canada, right? You've seen apple trees. Like, I'm just, my follow-up question might be obvious here, but like, you seen banana trees? Like,
I know enough to know that banana trees aren't trees. I've watched people kick them down. Thai boxers will put a hurt on a banana tree.
that's really skirting the question here.
But I get it. The Shamwari is a
Anybody
boring
see it on
looking
that
knife,
video?
though.
Is there any opinion from the four of us that goes, yeah, I get it. The Shamwari is only okay.
Shamwari's boring to
I
look
don't know
at.
if it's gotten the hype over the last couple of years because of social media, but I still don't know if it's like the overhype, kind of like your anthem. I don't know if it's overhyped or not. I think the people that just like it really like it. Like, so, like a Sebenza.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Quietly in the shadows, screaming it on the internet.
Some
Yeah,
YouTube reviewer who had that. It was like some kind of flecked carbon fiber as an inlay, I think, on their Shamwari. It was a really.
It was probably Dr. Frunky.
I think it might have been.
He's had 2 or 3 on his channel. So yeah.
And it was.
What is flex carbon fiber?
Oh no, sorry. It was a carbon fiber with some kind of a flex. Like flecks of gold or copper or bronze. I can't remember what it was, but it looked nice.
CK, not X.
Yeah, flecked, not flex.
Yep, I got it.
Yep.
I will Canadian stabbing grid you all in the face.
No, I was with Paul. I was hearing
flex.
flex. Like I was hearing EX myself as well.
The good news is, when it comes to Canadian stabbing grid, is that Nigel already has the grid already set up behind him, right? Like it's the brick wall. It's like it's perfect. Those squares are already built right in.
Indeed.
See, it's my plan. It's because the grid is so small. There's so many spots to stab that I can just move anywhere, and hopefully you'll be going somewhere else.
Joe, I'm throwing Nigel under the bus. Let's make a break
There's
for
no
it.
dodging.
I know.
It's just like Battleship. You have to pick a spot and stay there.
I don't know if that's how this works. Yep.
It's like Battleship. It's like Battleship.
Says who?
Mr. Fisk is saying copper shred carbon fiber. So
right. Okay. Yeah. And that is a nice material, by the way.
I do like the flex more than I like the wire, like the lightning strike carbon fiber.
You don't like that?
I don't dislike it, but I just like the flex more in what I've seen.
I'd agree.
It's more interesting in the compared to just the lightning and the wire.
Yeah. I do like the lightning strike. Don't get me wrong. I like anything that's different than the other stuff that's out there on the market, to be honest. Just people trying something new or even something old, new again. Yeah. Infinite Gunworks, Justin. It's Dolomite, baby. I knew Joe would get to that. Where's the Dolomite inlays? Really? And I know it would probably add more to the weight of a knife to do it, but the fact that you don't see more stone inlaid surprises me a little bit, because there's some really pretty stones out there.
Mm-hmm.
Durability, longevity-wise, they chip, they break, they crack.
Stop harshing my buzz, man.
Well, I'm giving you answers.
I wanted to be a smartass and say Santa Fe Stoneworks and their exclusive Spydercos, but I don't think they actually use stone in their modified Spydercos. It's just like mother of pearl and shit. That being said, having like a marble inlay in something might be kind of cheesy.
Apparently, you can get a Savenza 21 with stones.
Hey, hang on for a second. Hang on. Joe just mentioned a marble inlay, and this is also coming from the guy that has pocket carried a Surge and an Adamas. So, like,
a Surge.
Screw yourself, Joe, with your marble inlay.
The marble doesn't have to be thick. It could be like a 2 or 1.5 millimeter thick slab. It doesn't have to be much.
Go buy a rainbow trout native and be done with it. Like,
seriously. No.
Can I get the brown trout instead?
The what?
The brown trout.
Brown trout.
Yeah. The native 5 brown trout.
That's not a better answer.
No. None of these are making me happy.
Look, like the design or not, the art that went into that anodizing is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it's nice work. It does not speak to me in the slightest.
No.
On a lure, yeah, maybe.
Well, you got a hole here to attach it to your line. I mean, what else do you want?
Just stab the fish.
Can you get those knives in fully serrated? It's like barbs.
Oh.
I hate you, Dennis.
Evisceration.
Yeah.
Evisceration.
Terrible.
Why is there just half bodies of fish lying in the lake?
Just wait for them to float to the surface.
that considered baiting?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there. Maybe.
Joe's just stumbled.
Mr. Fisk also said, did you see where Benchmade got super creative and released a fish Crooked River? Do you think they only released a fish variant because Spyderco did it? Like, did they sit around a table and go, we should do one of those too?
Maybe.
Or did Spyderco jump ahead of them and go, they're going to do this eventually. We should get on board right now.
Well, I mean, Benchmade really does market themselves to... Sorry. They market themselves to hunters pretty readily, and sportsmen and fishermen, so I'm not shocked.
I was going to say they've got a big Pacific Northwest theme going on with their company lately, and not even just like, hunters in general, but just in general, when you look at the merch, when you look at the t-shirts, when you look at everything, that they've got this big homegrown in the Pacific Northwest. So with that fish and like even the Haida Native American, like Vancouver Island, it's got that vibe to it a little bit, even with the art on the blade, like with the fish and stuff, right? So
the question I have for you, when do I get my anodized bread truck knife? Because that's what I really want.
That would be funny.
Come on.
Well, they just did that like American flag with the Colorado Native, right?
That thing was hideous.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be honest.
Exclusively from Spyderco. The good news is no retailers will ever have to see that ugly knife.
So the color laser etching is a really cool touch, though. The techniques involved to create that monstrosity are very interesting, but a monstrosity it is nonetheless.
Ahsoka Edge just said in chat that Dr. Funky's Shamwari had fat carbon with TI dust sprinkled in it that was anodized green, and I remember that for sure.
Ooh, that's a different. I need to...
Go ahead, Joe.
I got to go see that video later. That's all I had to say about that, because I haven't seen that one yet. But that sounds cool.
That is a cool combination. On that note, the bearded knife guy says, anything Emerson.
Yeah.
We didn't intentionally go out to go after like product or custom makers or anything like that. Just, this is not our opinion necessarily. It's the opinions of the people.
I think. Yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I've got a mini Commander, and for the price that you're paying for it, no, it's not worth that price in the slightest. Like, now, some of the newer Emersons that I have actually played with, the action on them are smooth. They're like clean. Like, got no problem with some of the new ones over the last couple of years, but I don't think their 10-year-old reputation deserved the hype that they had. That's for sure.
No.
So,
I think the hype that came from them was they're a decent knife and they're well built for what they were built for. And then there was too many people that were sitting around the Tactical Aid and just drinking that down, and they saw that knife and they got all hyped on it. And that just kind of spread it, and that's what blew it up, I think.
I think you're probably right.
Too much
Tactical Wave feature.
Well, yep. And I mean, I know Emerson develops his knives so that they're easily sharpened in the field, extremely tough in the heat treatment, and easily serviced. But I gotta agree with Dennis. I don't think that excuses the poor fit and finish reputation that they've had for God knows how long. And yeah, some of the newer models have looked good, but it's been an in-joke in the knife world for a while that, sure, I'll buy an Emerson so long as Emerson didn't make it. Like,
yeah.
The flip side to that is I've seen some of his higher end hand-done work, like with the micarta handles, the titanium bolsters, and the more polished blades. Those look nice. And every single one that I've ever seen videos or in person, beautiful, beautiful work. But his standard mainline stuff costing what it did, and with we've talked about it before, but the screws were stripped on his own website photos. Like, that's just messed up.
Yeah.
It shouldn't look like that coming out of the factory.
No.
That's what you get for using a flathead screw. They strip. It's just a thing
Yeah.
they do.
Well, and then Phillips for the back,
Yeah.
flat for the front.
Mhm.
Joe, you need to make a knife and use all Robertson screws on it. Truly Canadian. Man. Truly Canadian.
Mhm.
I'll make it a folding Canadian belt knife.
There you go. I don't know how I feel about that.
Groman might be upset with me for that, but
Potentially.
I think
They
there's going to
already
be a
they
lot of
already
people
make an
would be.
offset.
that's what I mean.
They
yeah.
already make an offset folder.
I know they do.
Zinx EDC said he's going to start using Tacticool-Aid from now on. So you added a word to somebody's lexicon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that we started using around the shop when you could just tell someone got off onto the deep end into the tactical craze, and it's like, yeah, they drank too much Tactical Aid.
Yeah. They've played way too much Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The first thing that they ask when they come in, I want a knife that I can carry discreetly and yet be able to put it through a car door or a car hood. It's like,
Yes. The paramilitary is the knife for you.
I'm going to recommend Dundee's carrying a Recon Tanto for sure.
Yep.
I do like the term Dundee for those same guys, though. Just big old scary knife. Big old fuck off knife. Says the guy that has a bunch of overly large knives.
Well, I mean.
Yeah. What's the most damage you've accidentally inflicted on a knife? Which knife?
Before we get into the next question, I'm going to suggest we take a quick little break here.
Fair enough.
Because it's the first segment ran long and whatnot.
Yeah.
For sure.
That might not be a bad idea if you're all good.
Yep. Even us out a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll, as per usual, going to have our quick little break here, and we will be back shortly with our third section with everyone here. We will see you soon.
Ooh.